Yaten she Larita Stevens and Shashanando she good morning, good afternoon. My name is Larita Stevens. I'm originally from Fort Defiance, Arizona, on the Navajo Reservation. My mom is from the Hopi Reservation, so my half Hopi, half Navajo. She's from the Ghost Village. What brings me here today is concerns of how Access is proposing to cut the rates in regards to intense outpatient services for our Indigenous Native American brothers and sisters who are currently seeking treatment, recovery resources, as well as those individuals who are seeking recovery resources. So that is my concerns. I'm sure
and tell us kind of what those concerns are. What are you worried about if this proposal goes through?
So if this proposal does go through, I believe it is slated to begin May 1st. So the drastic reduction in rates that is utilized to help with services for treatment and recovery is going to play a huge impact on our Native American community as well as our reservations. Because a lot of our reservations do rely on sending individuals here to the urban setting to seek treatment, counseling, behavioral health services, because as it is right now, our reservations are really, we don't have the resources to serve the thousands of individuals who seek these on a daily basis. So at that tribal level, we are definitely overwhelmed. Hence, looking at other resources that are out here, the urban setting, as I've shared. And sometimes that means even looking at non-native centers that provide those services within treatment, but we also really encourage individuals to look at holistic or just services that are culturally based. So, if that is taken away, then there's going to be a lot of individuals who will be displaced, and we won't have places to refer our brothers and sisters to go to seek these treatments and services. And a lot of the urban setting places that are currently here can be highly affected too, just because of the number of individuals that now be needing their services as well. Because as a person in recovery as well, when I first was asking for help, that was one of the things I found barriers to within not only my own community, but even within the small town that I was trying to seek services. It was far and few and in between to be able to just walk into a center and say, I need some help, and then they're like, yes, please, we can help you today. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I want to be able to be that voice for those others who can't speak for themselves as well. So if I can provide the resources for them, absolutely. So when I found my sobriety just over 6.5 years ago, I was in a space where a lot of people probably wouldn't find themselves. I literally was brought before a superior judge in the state of Arizona that basically gave me 3 options. She shared, Larita, you can either seek help, you can go to prison, or you can die. Those are probably 3 prolific things that never have been said to me in my adult life. Whereas I probably heard that from loved ones, even from my own children, in regards to seeking help. But it wasn't until I was given the loss of my freedom or the loss of my life that changed in my thought process of I need to do this for myself. So I took that opportunity she gave me as another chance to be able to help myself. And granted, it actually was spent behind bars, but that actually saved my life. So with those 3 prolific words being shared to me, I chose and I made that commitment not only to myself, to my higher power, to my creator, but to my people, that I would not put myself in a position where I could not help another person. And I wanted to be that voice for those who don't have that voice, who haven't learned to find their voice yet. So being able to provide that help, that bridge that gap, so to speak, in regards to the resources that were not available, rather than seeing more houseless individuals, seeing more people on the streets, so it was like being able to advocate at that local level and just share with them there are resources, but we have to be also proactive in our recovery as well. So just kind of being that voice and I guess being that leader of a sort within treatment and recovery, and then that kind of just allowed me to step into various roles of peer support, running local meetings, and providing resources and outreach, which has allowed me to cross paths with so many individuals, professionally, at the grassroots level, at the state level, and so being able to provide the outreach and the network, I feel is so essential, because sometimes when we're at that most vulnerable, we feel like there's nowhere else to turn to, and sometimes we don't think people are listening, but they really are. It's just having that extra support with you to be able to make those steps one step at a time. And so I never forget where I came from, culturally, spiritually, but I also don't forget where I was at, where I was confined to a 5x5, and essentially not wanting to have another person, let alone another Native American woman, male, be in that position where there's no control over their life. We have to essentially take that control for ourselves. So when I took that step to get sober and become more active in my recovery, I utilized behavioral health services to be able to work counseling. So these were essential services, and it was going 3 times a week to just have that counseling service for me, and what we refer to as aftercare. I didn't have sober living, but I had a wonderful support system. So being able to have that support system, but also knowing on three times out of the week I could go see a person who I could speak to and help guide me along this road of into my recovery was so essential. And see, that's what keeps us here, essentially. So it was so important that we come together, we band together to say, we need to have these services intact. These are so essential to our well-being, to our livelihood, and to our lives. Essentially, it's our lives. We're looking out for our fellow man. That's the one thing we have all in common here as human beings. No matter what color we are, we all need red. It's just coming out to advocacy and being able to help our fellow Native American constituents and or community members to be able to have these services that are essential to us. And even if you are not in recovery, it's being able to have that support as a person of a lover who is in recovery or who is seeking recovery. So this does still affect us in our family dynamic with the generations. So we're just here to be able to provide that advocacy as much as the next person.